Here's you, because we got to do this.
And am I okay standing right
Yeah,
here?
yeah, you
All
can
right.
stand wherever you want. Walk around, whatever you need. Oh, it's the right way. Yep. Now it's on you.
Cool.
Where's your port?
It's right here.
Okay. See if it picks it up.
I may need to do.
There you go. You're good.
Oh, okay.
Can we get on stream too? You're all set, sir.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Ben Saraceno. I work for FrSky RC. This is my second year here at DroidCon. Last year, I came with our X20S systems to kind of show some of the Kyber board integration. I know a lot of you guys are probably familiar with our equipment, but a lot of you probably aren't. So basically, we make radio control systems, RC systems for typically used for RC hobby stuff like airplanes, drones, boats, cars, stuff like that. But a lot of you guys have started integrating them into your droid builds. So last year we had the X20S systems. A lot of the builders use them with these 3-axis stick ends that have an additional rotational axis on them. They basically swap out for the standard gimbal sticks here. The new systems that we have now, well, in the past with the regular X20S system, when you wired these in, you had to replace some of your inputs like your potentiometers or your sliders on the sides. The new systems that we have now, the X20 Pro system that I have here on the table, and then the X20 RS here as well, have additional solder pads on them so that you don't actually have to replace any of the inputs. So we've got a couple new hardware options available that add some extra functionality. On top of that, the additional solder pads, the X20 Pro, for example, has additional push buttons. Doesn't really pick up on the camera, but up here on the shoulders that can be wired in or programmed to be just about anything. So last year I kind of rushed through a lot of the different things that you could systems. This time I'm going to kind of give a little bit more of an in-depth look at the Ethos system, which is the operating system that we run on our radios. So the radio is kind of divided up into 3 main sections. You have your model setup, which is the airplane icon. So unfortunately, I can't get an R2 picture there, but that's where you do most of your mixing stuff, assigning all of your channels to your channel outputs, doing the stuff like your timers, and creating new models. So here I have just a ton of models created. I'm going to switch over to my Kyber model, which is right here, Kyber R2, and show some of the features of that. So here's the Kyber system. A lot of you guys may be already running this, and basically it's a Lua script that sits on top of the Ethos system that gives a lot more flexibility with your virtual touch buttons. So I'll show a better demo of that later. But essentially getting started with the system, one of the questions that we get a lot is how to just register and bind a receiver. So from the model setup menu, you can go to the RF system, and I'm going to set it to TD mode for the TD receiver here. And it's a 2-step process. First, you register the receiver. So I'll hit register button here. First, I need to turn it on. State on. Register. And my battery. So for the registration process, you hold the button down while you power it on. Register. Oops, I did not hold the button down. and it'll show up the receiver TDR10.
Register.
So I'll click register, and it'll give you the registration confirmation is okay. The next step is to bind the receiver. I'm going to just clear out this receiver. So you can bind up to 3 receivers to each model. So I'll click on the first receiver, and then I'm just going to power cycle the TDR10 receiver. And again, it'll show up a confirmation for the TDR10. I'll select it, and it'll give a confirmation that the bind is okay. The flashing blue light is a confirmation as well that the receiver is now bound up and ready. Now, with some of our older receivers, they had a dedicated S-Bus out port that was easy to connect with the Kyber system. With the TDR10 and the other tandem receivers, you have to actually go in and program one of the pins to be S-Bus out. So to do that, I'm going to click again on the receiver 1 TDR10, click on options, and there's 2 S-Bus modes, 16 channel and 24 channel. The 24 channel setup is not yet implemented with the Kyber. So for now, just use the S-Bus 16. And then I'm going to choose pin 1 and change it to S-Bus out. So now that I've set S-Bus out on pin 1, I can connect the pin 1 onto the Kyber system, and it will read all the channel outputs. So that's a little bit of how to just connect the receiver with the radio system. The second step is to actually get the Kyber software onto the radio. In this case, I've already got it installed, but essentially you just connect the radio by USB. And when you do that, it's going to pop up confirmation dialog. So I'll choose Ethos Suite. And then on my computer, it will pop up a couple windows. This first one that has the fonts folder can just be closed. You're never going to use that one. But here on the radio drive, under the scripts folder, I have the Kyber Pad, Lua, and Kyber source here already installed. And basically to install them, I'm just going to go to the Kyber zip, select these 2 here, and drag them into the scripts folder. And then since I already had it installed, it wants me to replace the files. Oh. I'll just cancel that. Yeah. Sometimes if you get an error, it's easier to do it from the bootloader mode. So I'm going to power the radio off. And I'm going to hold the navigation button down while I power it on. Goes into the bootloader mode. Reconnect it. And again, it'll pop up the 2 windows. And again, I'm just going to drag these into the scripts folder. So that's pretty much how to install the Kyber Pad Lua script. Then you have to also set it up on the radio itself. And to do that, you go into the model setup area and over to the Lua scripts, and you enable the Kyber Pad source. And then under the telemetry pages, which is the double box icon, you can create a new window. So actually, let me, and select not the full screen, but the full page window. Change the widget, select the Kyber Pad, and now you can configure all your buttons. So in this case, I haven't set that up because I just created it, but I already have it configured here pre-configured on this one. So just some basic R2 wave files. So that's kind of the quick overview on how to get the Kyber pad software working on the radio. Another thing that a lot of you guys probably use is tank mixing. So a lot of the dual motor drive systems, you have to mix two of the controls in order to get your forward reverse and left right dual motor control. So under my model select, I'm going to create a new model. And the easy way to do the tank mixing is to actually use the airplane preset model template. And when you get to the tail section, if you tell it to do no tail, it will automatically do tank mixing. So under the mixer settings, the way that looks is basically you have your aileron and elevator both assigned to channels 1 and 5. On aileron, it's 50% weight, and on elevator, it's 50% weight. So it's basically mixing 50-50 of your elevator and aileron sticks. But there's limitations there because it always applies the ailerons and elevators. So sometimes you may want to mix two different control surfaces that are not ailerons, like your rudder, for example, and you can't change the source or input here. It's going to always pull from your aileron stick. So to create the tank mix manually, and here's how that looks on your outputs. Here's your forward, back, and left, right. And you can see it will drive forward, drive backwards, turn left, turn right. So to create the manual mix, it's basically the same idea. And I've already got that set up here. So under the model setup mixes, you'll see I have aileron 1 and 5 and elevator. And these are using free mixes instead of the canned aileron and elevator mix. So by using free mix, you can go in and edit the source and tell it to use, for example, a rudder channel instead of your aileron. So under outputs, you have your forward, reverse, and left and right. And I had to reverse a couple of the channels here for my demo here. So let me get that out. And I'll show how that looks on. Oops. 1 second. I need to grab the other battery. Okay. So I don't know how well that's going to pick up, but let's see. So here's just kind of a couple 360-degree servos, and that's reversed. There we go. So you got forward, reverse, rudder left, and rudder right. So that's how you can do tank mixing two different ways, one using the airplane setup and one doing it with manual free mixes. One other way that you can do the tank mixing is by assigning them to both sticks. So you'd have like forward, reverse, left, and right. And that basically is a more simple mix, but you guys are probably never going to use that. Oops. Mix two stick. What's that? Oh, yes, I can show you that. So with the two stick method, reverse, forward, left, and Uh, oh, I got it mixed up somehow. Um, but basically, the mixer for that is you just have one stick for your, oh, I don't know why I signed it like that. Right, left, forward, reverse. So not as intuitive, and you guys are probably using the sticks for other things like controlling the head movements as well. So, but that's kind of three different ways of doing the mixing. You asked about the failsafe. To turn off the failsafe warning, you go to RF system, and down under where you bind it, you can see the failsafe is not set. So that's why it keeps warning that failsafe is not set. Usually you don't want to use hold, because if you do failsafe, it will hold your last position. Your droid will run away. No pulses is usually the best option that you're going to want to choose, which basically just cuts any signal to the receiver. So. One other thing that is new in the latest version of 1.5 that you guys might be interested in is the locking touchscreen feature. So right now the touchscreen is active. You may inadvertently bump the touchscreen and change some settings. So you can go to the special functions, add a new function, and you can lock the screen. So lock touchscreen. I'll tell it to lock the touchscreen whenever this switch is pulled up, for example. And then I'll enable it. And now my touchscreen is locked, and I cannot inadvertently mess up my settings until I put that switch off. Right, exactly. So that would be like if you're just driving or something and you don't want to inadvertently touch it. But yeah, it would lock out the touchpad of the Kyber pad. So, sorry. Forgot what else I was gonna draw here. Okay, there's binding, tank mixing. Oh, so sometimes you'll have your stick here to control your drive mode, but you may want to also have it to control, for example, the head tilt mode. So you can have one stick do multiple duty by basically using the active condition of the mixes. So right now it's set to do my tank mixing, forward, back, left. Oh, I changed it to rudder and that's messing me up here. I'm going to change it back to aileron. So forward, back, left, and right. But let's say you want a new mix for your head pan. So I'm going to say pan on my aileron, and for your head tilt on your elevator. But as you can see, as I'm doing that, it's not just driving my pan tilt, but it's driving the tank mode still. So by going into the tank mixing here and changing the active condition, and I'm just going to use the same switch for example. So when it's up, that's when, yeah, that's, okay. No, my laptop. Okay. Yeah. And then for the elevator, I'm going to set the same active condition so that that mix is active only when that switch is up. So in drive mode, and then now it's in the pan tilt mode, which I don't have anything connected to pan tilt, but you can see that it's active here, and these ones are grayed out, so they're inactive and no drive mode. So you can use the active condition to toggle on and off different mixes and be able to multi-purpose a stick or an input to do multiple things instead of being locked into only one function. One other thing on the special functions too is that we've added the ability to go to screen. So you can say go to a screen, and I'm going to say when this switch is down here, go to screen. I think I've only got, oh, I don't have any home screen. I've only got the one screen, so it's not going to make a difference, but I'll add in a new screen here. Oh, let me do this on the Kyber model. That will make more sense.
Receiver is still on. Throttle not idle. Failsafe not set. Switch
Okay,
one.
so I'm going to add another screen, for example, just throttle and timers. Move it forward. Special functions. Go to screen. And, oops. Home screen, screen 2. When the switch is down. And I'm going to add another one. Go to screen. When the switch is up. Go to screen 1. And you have to remember to actually set the state to enabled. Otherwise, they'll be disabled by default. So on my home screen, if I'm in the up switch position, it goes to screen 1. Down position goes to screen 2. So you can have multiple screens as well that you can toggle through based off of whether you're in drive mode or in Kyber mode or whatever. One other thing that you guys might be interested in is by default, the radios are kind of set up to be geared towards airplanes. So they have a lot of airplane naming conventions like aileron and elevator. You can change that from the radio setup, which is the gear icon. And you go to the sticks here. And you can see that they're named elevator, aileron, rudder, throttle. So you can just change them, for example, to Joy, R, Y, or Joy 2 if you prefer, and X. Oops. And Y and Joy 1, oops, X. So by renaming them, it's not going to change any of the mixes that I've already created, but once you start creating new models with this, it will show up. So for example, under here, under my mixer, you can see, oh, actually, this one I don't have it anything programmed except for the Kyber, but it will pull up joystick, right joystick Y or right joystick X, whatever you name them, whatever you want to name them, Joy 1, Joy 2, just depends on how your brain works, really. Obviously, mine's kind of a little bit chaotic. So on my mixer here, I have kind of like the generic Kyber pad setup. So I started here with channel 12 for the Kyber pad source. And the way I set the Kyber pad source was from the source here. You choose Lua and Kyber pad source. And then that allows the Kyber button pads to work with once you set them up on the web interface. I've also set up the toggle button for Kyber for the secondary Kyber pad, the toggle button for turning on and off the Wi-Fi, the volume switch, and then enabling random events for the Kyber. So I usually like to drop everything to the last channels available. So that way, for example, on my TDR10 here, the S-Bus out is going to carry all 16 channels to the Kyber. So channels 12 through 16 will be available. but then I still have pins 1 through 10 here available to do stuff like my tank mode drive or whatever else you would need to control. So if you programmed like the Kyber pad to channel 1, it wouldn't really make sense because then you're wasting a pin on your board. There's ways to get around it by reprogramming the pins, for example. Like I did with the S-Bus out, you can program pin 1 to output channel 16, but that's more work in the long run of things.
When you're trying to assign a channel,
Hmm.
what's the easiest way to figure out what reference switch you want to have activated?
Yep, so that's super easy. I'm just going to add a free mix, for example, and there's kind of two different ways to do it. So under your source option, you can click on that and choose, for example, your analogs, which are your joysticks, or you can choose your switches here, and those would give you your switch options. This is a little bit longer method of doing it. You can also just from the selection menu, toggle the switch that you want. So as I toggle the C switch, it automatically picks C. As I toggle D switch, it automatically picks D, and so on and so forth. So the easiest way is just from the source selection menu, just move whatever input you want to assign to that channel. And the last thing you need to do whenever you create a new free mix or a new channel assignment is come down to the output and actually tell it what channel that you want it to output to. So for example, Joy 2X will go to channel 2 here. So, and I don't have anything connected here yet. So let's get that connected on the Kyber. I've got a free USB port. So this is just a little micro receiver that we have. It does just basically S-Bus out. This is what I had previously bound up, but in this case, I'm going to use the TDR10 that I just connected. So I'll put it into pin 1, which I've changed to S-Bus output. Plug that into the Kyber pad here. And hopefully, and I have my volume on this assigned on this input here. So that's pretty much the basic configuration of the Kyber. There's a little bit more that you have to do on the web interface. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that because I can't remember the IP address. What is it? 192.168.4.1? All right, let's see if I can get it working. I did change the it's not, it should, I had it assigned to yeah, it, oh yeah, that's probably the problem. No, it should be on. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure why it's not picking up the Kyber network on it, because it may be because I set this to work off of AP mode with my home Wi-Fi. That's what I thought, but it's not pulling up. There might be. Let me there might be. Let me see if I can just Wi-Fi. Yeah, I can do that. All right, let's just try that. Try the old IT off and on again. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not coming up.
Your remote is maybe too slow with the guidance. Put it on
Oh,
the chair.
all right. Let's try that. No. So, it's not a good presentation unless there's one technical issue, right? Yeah, I'm not sure. That was the one thing I couldn't test in time before the wonder if I can
Also, the screen again for the Wi-Fi.
yeah. So here on the oh here on the Kyber pad you can see the Wi-Fi status is on. So I'll toggle it off, toggle it back on again, and see if I can get Wi-Fi connection. Nope. I did leave the SSID on it normal. I only changed the password, so it should show up as Kyber. Normally it'd show up as the Kyber Wi-Fi here. I'll troubleshoot that with stuff on later.
Yes, okay, I know why. Because I'm always able to do it. Good, let's change the SSID.
But I changed the password for it though.
Yeah, but that's good, but still, everybody at that time.
Oh, right. Okay.
Always trying before you tell.
Got it. There it is. Yeah. We'll see what happens. Nope. Nope.
Everybody probably trying to connect with
Okay.
yeah. So now you're in cyber gate.
Yep.
What happened that
Okay. All right. No worries. Well, I'm sure. Yeah, that's good. So the I'll leave the web configuration setup of the GUI for the Kyber up to the Kyber guys. But basically, I've got it pre-configured. All you have to do is go into the web configuration to the RC. Well, first to your button pads and tell it what the button outputs are from the as you click the 15 buttons there, and then assign the RC channels. In this case, I just assigned the RC channels to the 12, 13 through 16, as you see there on the mixer. So, and then that gave me the ability to control the volume and let's see the random mode. What did I set that on? SD. So that'll just run through some random triggers. And then the volume as I showed earlier. So, and then I also set up a stop button just to stop all of the output here. So, anybody have questions?
yeah, the user to do the same thing.
Yeah,
Ground vehicle.
that I'm working on convincing headquarters. Hopefully, once I show them some pictures from this event, they'll see how many of you guys are using our systems, and they'll be more convinced to get the developers to spend some time actually making the Ethos system a little bit more friendly towards the robotics, the droid builders, and the other ground vehicle based systems.
You can tell them other companies have it.
Yes, yeah, they're well aware. Trust me, I've been on them since last DroidCon. So, yes.
Well, you'll notice some of the other difficult stuff.
Uh huh.
That's a very small control for those kind of things.
Yeah.
Is there any thought to maybe doing a controller for the box?
Yes. So actually, there is kind of an off-the-shelf solution. So this is the Bluetooth head tracker unit, and with this unit, you can actually get a somewhat similar experience where basically you can use it one of two ways: as a head tracker mounted to your head to control pan tilt of your droid's head. You can also use it as what they call a flight stick. So forward, reverse, left, right, and turn this way as well. So there is a way to use this system, and I can show how that works fairly quickly. So I'll connect it here.
Telemetry box.
and go into the trainer mode here, and I'll set my trainer to the master mode, and I'll say to use the Bluetooth. Oh yes, I'm sorry. Let me move the. So let me back up here. I went to the model setup icon, and then over to trainer mode. Turn that back off. So from the trainer mode, I selected master mode. I told it to do Bluetooth instead of a trainer cable. You can use the trainer cable method here. So since Bluetooth is not necessarily very reliable in dense, RF situations, you can just use a mono jack cable here, run it into the top of the radio to the DSC port, and it'll work just the same. And I may have to do that if I cannot get the Bluetooth working, but let's see what happens. And then scroll down. Oh, what did I do? I didn't set the mode right. So master mode, Bluetooth. I will search the devices, and it is 48F0. Device is connected. And then now, as you see, as I move this, it's sending some inputs into the radio. And it's not actually doing anything until I set this active condition. So right now, it's only just showing the inputs coming in from the head tracker module. You can set the active condition to be always on if you always want to use it, or you could set it to a switch position as well. So it will only actually override. And then as you can barely see, it says right now that these channels have no destination. You would just select one and, for example, change the destination here to the channel that you want to override. So like channel, let's say you have your head pan on channel 4, and let's see, get the orientation on this right. I never get that right. So let's see, that's pan. This is tilt, and maybe I got it upside down. That's what I never remember. So anyways, it's got the 3 axes where you have pan mode, tilt mode, and roll. No, that's not working. I need to put a little arrow on this so I can remember. So there are ways of basically using, and this is just an Arduino inside of it. So it's an Arduino Nano BLE with a gyro in it. If you don't want gyros, you can literally just hook up potentiometers as well. And I'm working on solutions with that with some of the other droid builders to hopefully have a solution that's a very covert, small build style that you could basically just have it either running by Bluetooth or with the trainer cable extended to your radio system. So your radio system could sit on your hip or in a backpack or something like that, where it's not quite so obvious. You're limited to the number of outputs this has. This can do up to 8 channels. Yeah. It's possible to do all 16 channels through SBus, but it just takes a different code, basically. Yeah, this is an open source project that it runs. I'm pretty sure there's not an ability to change this to SBus output, but the radio can take SBus input on the trainer mode. So depending on what you're connecting. This one, yeah. Yeah, and have the 3 axis as well. So, yeah. So, anybody else have any questions? Yeah, so right now the X20S, which is the one that most of the builders are currently using, it runs our tandem system, which is basically 2.4 gigahertz and 900 megahertz. The new X20 Pro and X20 RS system, they have our other protocol also built in. They basically have a triple RF inside of them, and it uses the twin protocol as well. So twin is dual 2.4. I don't have one of those receivers out here to show, but it's instead of 2.4 and 900, it's 2.4 and 2.4. The kind of way that I usually explain it is tandem, like a tandem bicycle, is two different people doing the same thing, right? Just like a tandem receiver is two different bands doing the same thing. Twin is two of the same people. So twin on our system, dual 2.4, two of the same frequency. So that's the easiest way to kind of remember it. So the 900 megahertz is going to give you further distance and better penetration. And then it's also on a completely separate band than 2.4. So depending on the noise floor of the environment, the 900 may be a more robust solution for fighting interference. The dual 2.4 is going to give you a little bit faster control link because 2.4 inherently has a wider bandwidth than 900. And so you'll have a little bit faster control link. It is using two complete different modulation protocols for 2.4. So it is still pretty robust against any kind of 2.4 interference. But it really just depends on what kind of devices are causing the RF noise floor and how noisy they are and what exactly they are, because some devices, they just kind of blast and just spit out noise all over the place, and some of them are a little bit more friendly towards RC links. So, and then as far as the other differences, the X20 Pro and X20 RS have the additional dual trims in the center like the X18 had. The X20 and X20S do not have these extra trims. These trims can be programmed as well to kind of do just about anything. The X20 RS also has haptic sticks. And so the haptic stick feedback, you can program them to have basically stick shakers. So depending, in the airplane side of things, they use it for like the airspeed warnings when they're about to stall out, it'll shake the sticks. But you can program it to be like your low battery warning can shake the sticks, or over current draw, or just really about anything. And you can also set different haptic patterns. So it can be long bursts or short bursts, and like three long bursts on your right stick is your low battery, 5 short bursts on your left stick is your over current. It's really programmable in that sense. And then aside from that, the X20 Pro also has a metal shell. So it's a CNC aluminum shell. This is basically the higher end model. And then it has a few other little things like the leather grips on the back, and CNC aluminum side sliders, and text-to-speech function. They both have text-to-speech function, which normally when you're setting up like airplanes, you'll want call outs for like your gear up or gear down, stuff like that. I'm not sure exactly a good use case for the builders that you would want feedback from the radio, like what switch, maybe drive mode or, pan mode or whatever. And so you can just type in whatever text you want it to call out instead of having to generate an audio wave file and copy it to the radio. Anybody's any other questions? Let's see if I can get to the Kyber yet. No, go ahead. Mm-hmm. So the X-Lite runs the twin protocol, the dual 2.4. It cannot run the tandem, so we do not have an external module for the tandem series. And basically, it's the same Ethos system. It's still a 24-channel system. It's just a different form factor of a radio. So a little bit smaller footprint, a little bit less switches and buttons and things like that. And it you cannot really wire in these. You probably could if you're determined enough. The problem is that the threading on these are too big. So you'd have to find some solution there, like some kind of coupler, or I think trying to drill out the X-Lite gimbals does not leave enough material to be able to get them threaded. So they're not really compatible with the 3-axis stick ends.
I do have a question from online. If you
Yes.
question, does the interface allow option for video transmission to go, for example, if we were controlling one of our robots from another area and we can see what's in front of us?
Yeah, so not with the X20 Pro or the X20 RS, but there is another version of the X20 called the X20 HD. This camera. So the X20 HD works with a system called HD0, and it's a digital FPV system where essentially, just like you were asking about, you can have a camera and video transmitter on your droid and having it broadcast to the screen of the radio system, so you could drive it remotely.
I bought the unit and external now. How hard is it to install that?
You have the X20S.
Yes.
It's not very hard. It's basically inside of the radio. The gimbals have just some small wires like this. You would need to cut the wires and then splice in the 3 potentiometer wires, and then the 2 wires for the button. On in this case, this stick, 3-axis stick, has a button. We have 2 different versions of the stick, with button and without button. So depending on which one you have, these 2 just can wire into, for example, the back buttons here. There's a board with a couple buttons, and usually most people replace these because as you're operating it from on top, you really can't get to those back buttons anyways. So, but yeah, it's just a matter of splicing it in. With the X20 Pro and the X20 RS, there's actually extra solder pads on the board, so you don't have to do any splicing and replacing your potentiometers or sliders. It has additional inputs for these 3-axis sticks specifically. So I'm sorry, what do you mean, like?
Well, you replace the current joystick with that knot,
Right,
right?
yeah, it just unscrews. So it is a little bit difficult to find a deep socket so that you can get this. It's basically just like an M5. I don't know if that picks up on the screen or not, but you have to get an M5 deep socket to go over the stick so you can unscrew it, and then you just screw that one down in its place. You can just use pliers or a small wrench or something like that, but you'll probably end up marring up the metal here. So that's why we found at, like, I think it was AutoZone, they had a whole set of deep sockets that can actually fit over the stick end, so you can get it unscrewed without causing any marring to the gimbal. Yeah.
I know some, I think that one's the Pro, the holes above the border is stiff. Yes,
Right. So on this is the RS, and both the Pro and the RS. This is an older version of the Pro, so it doesn't have these gimbals, but this is for adjusting the travel of the stick. So the stick travel by default is 60 degrees, but you can adjust it anywhere from 45 to 60 degrees just to have a shorter throw on the sticks. For example, if you don't want it to, if it's like too far to throw the stick for whatever your purpose is, you just want to have a shorter travel. Yeah, so they're available now through several of our dealers. They're $650. Yeah. And there is an R version. The R version does not have the haptic sticks. It has the standard sticks, and You can get the 3-axis sticks to work with them, but it doesn't have the like screw in and out stick in or sticks here. So you have to kind of like get some heat set threaded inserts, and it takes a little bit more work. It's possible to get these to work with the basic R version, but it's not just plug and play like it is with the RS. So between the RS and the Pro, the RS has a plastic shell. It does not have the shoulder switches on the top, and then it has the tandem and the twin modules, but it's not going to support the Pro receivers. The Pro receivers that are compatible with the Pro are going to be triple RF. So just like you have your dual band 2.4 and 900, and then the dual band 2.4 and 2.4, the Pro receivers will be dual 2.4 and 900. So 3 RF links on the receiver. Those ones aren't out just yet, though. No. Any other questions? Good. Yep. We're good. Awesome. Perfect. Yep. Thank you.